Hello, I'm Lansing.
Hi, I'm Raquel.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Deanna.
And we're the Virtual Vegans.
Good evening and welcome back to another virtual vegan cooking class. We are so excited that you've come back to join us again. Our theme today is tasty tacos. Now, who doesn't love tacos? So it's fiesta time, right? But before we jump into all the fun, we'd like to bow our heads for a word of prayer and ask the Lord's blessing on all that we say and do today. Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for bringing us all back together. We ask that you will send your Holy Spirit to be with us in this place, in the homes of our viewers, in our hearts, Lord. And we just want to continue to learn your good and perfect will for us and to obey all that you have prescribed for us for our good and for your glory. Thank you for hearing and answering our prayer. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So we are going to have some fun today. Most people have a Taco Tuesday on their family menu, and if you don't, you need to. You should. Now, I'm a busy mom, homeschool mom, very active in ministry. Our children are involved in a lot of things, and we're not going to do a lot about talking about meal planning today. That will be in an upcoming class. But it's great to get a meal plan together, whether it's a monthly calendar, whether it's a weekly or bi-weekly calendar. It's always so convenient because you can get your family involved. I have my boys, my husband, my two sons. We just all come together and we pick our favorites. We get it on the menu. It's easy for me to shop because I can buy staples, and we can not only make those tasty tacos on Tuesdays, but we can use those ingredients in other things. It's great on the budget. It's just really fun, and it gets everybody involved. Tacos are so very versatile, as you'll see today, and they can be prepared in a variety of healthy, whole food ways to help you along your journey on your new plant-based reform diet. They're fun to eat, and the flavors pop. The whole family, like I said, can get involved even in the selection, the preparation, the consumption of these tasty treats. And they're great to serve at get-togethers, or you could create a taco bar and everybody can select their own goodies to put on there, or an easy-to-eat lunch on the go. So they're really good and fun and versatile and practical to eat. Now, so what's on the menu today? We have homemade whole wheat tortillas, fish tacos using tofu. Now, we just moved from California. We were transplants out there for about 5.5 years, and coastal cities love fish tacos. So I had to find a vegan substitute for that. So my guys like that. I hope you'll enjoy that too. We have roasted cauli tacos. Those are cauliflower, and even an air fryer version. It's encrusted in seasoned panko crumbs, whole wheat panko crumbs. We've got homemade corn tortillas, scrumptious potato tacos, a raw walnut crumble taco. Raquel's going to share with us today the benefits of eating raw, and that is such a tasty treat. Everybody will enjoy that. We'll have black bean sweet potato tacos. We're going to have a traditional taco. So we're going to introduce to you a meatless vegan product today that you can buy at most of your local grocers. So that will be our traditional taco, and then we're going to have lots of fixings and finishing sauces. We're going to have a roasted poblano tomatillo verde salsa. We're going to have a cilantro lime crema, a Baja slaw, fresh corn relish, a chipotle dressing, which is just to die for, and guacamole. And I wanted to show you, before we jump into the demonstrations, we have had a couple classes, and we've talked about cinnamon, we've talked about liquid smoke, and use those in our recipes. So we wanted to show you a healthier version of what you can order. This was purchased on Amazon. It's a Ceylon cinnamon, and cinnamon can be one of those irritating spices, but this is a far more mild type of cinnamon, and it's not irritating to the digestive system or stimulating to the nerves. So Ceylon, C-E-Y-L-O-N, cinnamon. You can find this on Amazon. And I found this on Amazon also. This is a liquid smoke that does not have vinegar in that. So we want to do better, right? When we know better, we do better, right? Right? Right. So when we know better, we want to do better. Now, remember a quote that we've shared from an early health pioneer. She wrote about 150 years ago. It says, cooking may be regarded as less desirable than some other line of work, but in reality, it is a science in value above all other sciences. Thus, God regards the preparation of healthful food. So we need wisdom and skill in learning how to make all these healthy foods for just to care for the human machinery, to care for our families. And we are to reflect the image of God in everything we do, even in our diet. So we must therefore reform our lifestyle so that the image of God can be restored in us. Amen? That way we can live the abundant life that God has promised us, and so we can fulfill our mission in this world. And the food that we eat not only translates into energy for the body, but also the condition of the blood that affects the whole health of the body and mind. Remember, good food produces good blood. So we want to be excellent in body, mind, and spirit, right? And we are what we eat, what we think, what we worship. Remember Daniel and the 3 Hebrews when they were taken into captivity into Babylon. Because they had faithful parents who had taught them the statutes of the Lord, when they were taken into an idolatrous place, when food, the delicacies of the king from his table were presented before them, they refused those because they knew that God had something better for them, just like he's showing us he has something better for us. And so they stayed faithful, and if we honor God, he will honor us. Amen? We want to be excellent in spirit, right? We want to be faithful to him. 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20 says, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, and we belong to God. We can't just treat our bodies any way that we want. And so we need to be reminded of that. Colossians 3:23 and 24 says, and whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as unto the Lord, and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. So let's honor God in our lifestyle. Amen? And let's get started on these tasty tacos. Okay, our first demonstration today, we are going to go ahead and start with some of these fixings and some of these finishing sauces. Some I'll demonstrate, some I'll just walk through, but you'll have the recipes for all of those, and we'll be flashing all of those ingredients up on the screen as well. So we're going to start out with our Baja coleslaw. This is going to be one of the bases for our fish tacos. And so I already have here this lovely, finely shredded cabbage. You can use green, you can use purple. I'm using a mixture because I like lots of color, and the more color that's in our food, the healthier it is. It contains more carotenoids, so it's healthier, more antioxidants for the body. We're adding red onion, and you can also use shallots if you want. That's like a type of red onion, kind of immature, and so it's a little milder, a little sweeter, I think. And then we're going to add some diced jalapeno. Now for the demonstrations today, I'm not always doing a full recipe, but you'll have the ingredients there at your disposal in your recipes. We're adding a clove of minced garlic, we're adding a half a teaspoon of salt and juice from 1.5 limes. And we are going to stir this, and we're going to set this aside and let this marinate, because the lime juice is going to help to just really bring all these flavors together. It's going to help to wilt the cabbage a little bit. And so we're just going to stir that through and set it aside. And like I said, this is going to be a yummy base for our fish tacos. Now, some people may or may not like jalapenos, or they may be afraid of jalapenos. So I just want to show you very quickly how you can, and in fact, I'm going to go ahead and add this right over here into one of our little serving bowls. We'll be using this later. But I'm going to show you how to peel a jalapeno where it's not so hot. Now, some people like things really hot and spicy, but me not so much. I like the flavor of jalapeno, but I don't want I don't want it too spicy where it's painful to eat. So I'm going to show you very quickly how we can peel that, because the heat is in the membrane and in the seeds, and so that's what we want to remove. So you can just cut the top off. I've cut this in half, and I like to even just cut it into quarters. It's easier for me. I can just take my knife and I can get under that white membrane, and those seeds are usually attached right there, and we want to get that. And if you're ever cooking, just know that heat amplifies, the temperature heat amplifies the heat that's in the peppers. And peppers have a lot of antioxidant, vitamin content, and they're good for us, but we want to do all things in moderation. We don't want to eat things that are too spicy. So you see, I've just removed the membranes there and the seeds, and you can chop and dice those, slice those and put in salads and dishes, and be able to enjoy that at home. So you can see that right there. I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to go right into our fresh corn salsa. I'm just walking through on this one as well. I love fresh corn, and if you have a garden or you have a farmer's market close to you, or if you have a grocer that carries fresh organic corn, we want to use that as often as possible. This is a great way to get some more fresh, raw foods in our diet, and with that, you're getting live enzymes that are going to help to give you all the good things that God put in those for our bodies, and help our bodies to ingest, digest, assimilate those things, and get those into the body and make us healthier. So what I've done, and you can see here, this is our fresh corn salsa. I've got fresh corn that's been husked, washed. It's been sliced directly from the cob. And we've got a jalapeno that's been seeded and diced. We've got a small actually a half of a red onion that we've diced in there. And I like to dice the red onion very thin, because that's a strong onion to me. And so I want to make sure that all those flavors get blended well, and it's enjoyable. We've got some, you can use red or orange, or even the yellow or green red bell pepper, or bell pepper, so whatever you have on hand. A quarter cup of cilantro, juice of a half to 1 lime, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and a half to 1 teaspoon of garlic salt. And again, you'll want to mix that, set that aside, let those flavors marinate, and we are going to use that on our one of our roasted cauli tacos. So our next demonstration is going to be our cilantro lime finishing sauce. It's like a cilantro lime crema. And we're going to set these aside. And we're just going to put all this in a blender. What we're going to use for that is 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. This is a heart-healthy oil. It does not contain trans fats or saturated fats that animal oils, lard, that kind of thing does. We're going to include half of an avocado. There are so many good healthy benefits to avocados as well. Healthy fats, high in fiber, lots of vitamins and minerals that the body needs. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of water. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of green onions. We're going to add 3/4 cup. Oh, you know what? I'm going to hold off on these because when we pulse this together, I want to mix everything else, but I want the cilantro to remain a little bit chunky. I've got juice from 1 lime, and I love the flavor of lime, especially when you're doing Latin dishes. It just really helps to bring out the flair of the foods. We've got 2 fresh garlic cloves. We've got a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'd like to use the iodized sea salt. That way you get your iodine plus, you get all the minerals from the sea salts. And then we're going to use 1/2 cup of a vegan sour cream. And so this is available at Kroger. This is called Simple Truth, and it's an organic sour cream. So it's a great alternative to dairy-based sour creams. And you're going to find out more about that in the next 2 classes. We've been telling you all these good things that you need to start eating, but we're going to tell you a lot more about things that you should be avoiding for your overall health. So we've got this added. We're going to blend this together. And then we're going to pulse in our cilantro. Just use whatever blender you have on hand. You want to make sure that avocado gets well blended. And then we're just going to pulse in our cilantro. Now you can use the leaves and the stems. Oftentimes we just use the leaves, but the stems have just as much nutrient content as do the leaves. And it's got all that beautiful chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is like the plant equivalent to our blood, like the hemoglobin in our blood. So it oxygenates the blood, it purifies the blood, and it's just a great detoxifier for the body. So we're going to just pulse this just a bit. And if you prefer it all mixed up a lot better, you can do that too. It's just your preference. Okay. But if you are using stems, you'll probably want to do that a little bit more. And we're going to show you how yummy this is going to look as a finishing sauce for that fish taco. Doesn't that look beautiful? You see all those beautiful, beautiful herbs. Raquel taught us a lot about those wonderful fresh herbs in our last class, and we always want to take advantage of using those fresh herbs. So we have a question from our audience here. Is it better to use fresh herbs? Is it better to use those ones in the containers in the grocery stores, in the produce department? Is it better to use dried? And it's really your preference. Health-wise, it's always better to use the fresh. So if you have a garden, oftentimes we may not have the space to have a big vegetable garden or a fruit orchard, but we can actually have patio containers and full of herbs, and you can go straight out, snip those off, and include those in your salads, in your dressings, in whatever dishes that you're making. So the reason for that is it's fresh off the vine, and the longer that something has been picked and stored in the refrigerator or the market, it loses the enzyme content, and we need those little chemical reactors to be able to help our bodies to utilize all the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, get that into the bloodstream so that the blood can feed the whole body. So that's always best. But if we can't get it fresh because we can't do that type of gardening, by all means, use whatever is available to you. Dried you can even use if you don't have access to fresh. I know that at my local grocer during the winter when I can't grow my basil, I love fresh basil, it is really hard to find. So sometimes I have to use the dried. And even if you have a vegetable garden or an herb garden, you can even dry some of those fresh herbs yourself and store those. So that's a great question. And fresh is always best, in my opinion. But the quality, the taste quality is great. The nutritional content is superb with fresh. So we're going to go straight into our roasted poblano tomatillo salsa verde. Now, I have already done this in advance because there were some steps to this. You'll need to roast poblano peppers. We have one of those here for our viewing. And we have a tomatillo, which is a green tomato that has a husk on it. When you get ready to prepare this, and we want to make sure that that husk protects the tomato, we want to make sure that we examine those before we buy them, make sure they're good quality. But what I did is I took 3 poblano peppers, I took a pound of tomatillos, I took a shallot, which is this right here. It's like a red onion, and 3 cloves of garlic in the skins, and I roasted those for about 27 minutes. And I usually just put that on a baking dish with parchment, or you can use a glass container. You'll want to lightly oil that, and you're going to roast that. And you'll have to midway through flip those, because what we want to do is we want to char the skin. It's going to steam those peppers and tomatoes inside their skins. And once you pop those out of the oven, then you'll take the skin, and this is the one part that I wanted to demonstrate. When you take those poblanos out, everything else in the pan set aside to cool. Your tomatillos, your onions, your garlic, set those aside to cool. You can even stick those in your blender and let that cool for 15-20 minutes. While you take these charred poblanos out, and we're going to actually leave those on a pan. We're going to put a tea towel over those, and we're going to insulate that so that it can steam for about 15 minutes. The reason that we want to do that is so it's going to steam a little bit more inside, but it's going to be way easier to peel. So you see that skin coming right off? So we want to do that. And this is one of our roasted tomatillos here. You see how that's cooked through. But what you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure you cut that and de-seed and remove the membrane, just like I showed you on the jalapenos, because that's where the heat is. And you want to remove the skin, because on a poblano, we may be able to just slice a fresh jalapeno and eat that. That's fine. The skin is very thin, but it's very thick on a poblano pepper, and we want to just remove that. So I just added those to a blender. I added a teaspoon of cumin, handful of cilantro, leaves and stems again, juice of 1 lime, half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. And it's optional if you want to roast any jalapenos in there as well. Some people like it a little spicier, but I don't necessarily. And so we just blended all that together, and we have a beautiful salsa verde that is fresh, and it tastes way better than anything that you can get out of the store. And you'll be able to see how thick and chunky that is. Doesn't that look wonderful? And it tastes fabulous. So we are actually going to use that to be a finishing sauce for our cauliflower tacos. Welcome back to our next presentation. We're going to be showing you how to do the homemade whole wheat tortillas, and we've actually prepared a clip in advance for time's sake. All right. Okay, so wasn't that a fun video? So we have our tasty homemade tortillas right here. Now, with practice, they'll round out a lot better, but you know, at our home, we call this character. Nothing has to be perfectly round, right? So we've got our healthy homemade whole wheat tortillas, and we're going to turn this down just a bit, and we're going to go straight into our fish tacos for our next demonstration. Now, our base for this is not fish. We're using tofu, and of course, you've seen the tofu in a previous class. This is a water-based tofu, so you're going to want to press that. Raquel showed us in the very first episode of Virtual Vegan how to press your tofu. So we want to drain all the water. We want to press that out as best we can because we want this to be as dry as possible. So we have already done that, and we've cut that into a decent size because that's going to fill our taco shells right there, our tortillas. And I've actually coated that in a bit of cornstarch that will actually help to have your batter that we'll be preparing, a tempura batter, to be able to stick to those fish fillets. So I have actually taken a cup of unbleached all-purpose flour. Now this is unbleached, unbromated, hard red wheat and malt barley blend, and so this is not white refined flour. And I've added a tablespoon of egg replacer that's going to replace the egg that you would perhaps use in your batter. And then my boys love the Old Bay seasoning. This kind of gives it the fish flair. And I've put a tablespoon of Old Bay seasoning in there. And what I've done is I've sifted this flour through twice. You can do it 2 or 3 times. What we want to do for a tempura batter is to make sure that there's no lumps. It aerates it a little bit, makes it a little lighter and fluffier. And key to this is chilled water. Now you can actually put, we're going to need a cup of water. You can put ice cubes in that and filter those out, sift it out, drain it out. But I just left mine in the freezer for about 45 minutes or so, and it's ready to go for us. But we don't want to have any ice in there, but it has to be ice cold. So we are just going to go ahead and pour that straight into our batter. And it's okay if it's a little bit lumpy once we mix it. Now you can use tempura batter on vegetables. If you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant, then you can try tempura vegetables in there as well. So we're just going to combine this through as best we can. And then once we coat these, we are going to, our fillets, we're going to then put a final coat of panko crumbs. Put that in a coat of panko crumbs. And these are whole wheat panko crumbs that I found at Kroger. So you may be able to find that at your local grocer. Excuse me. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to dip our first fillet in here. Might be a little messy. Excuse me. But we just want to get that batter on there as best we can. If you see some larger lumps, get that out. Just kind of smash those through. Then we're going to put that straight into our panko crumbs and get that well coated. And then I've had avocado oil heating. And you can actually bake these or put these in an air fryer, and in the recipe I have instructions for those as well. But after you fry something, you want to make sure that you put that on parchment, or I'm sorry, not parchment, paper towel to get the oil out. So that's going to be frying here for a few minutes. We'll be stirring that around to make sure all those sides get browned. We want to make sure all the sides are well coated. And you know all that splashing happens in your kitchen too. So. All right, while these are cooking, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to do our roasted cauliflower tacos. clean up here just a bit. Now, for sake of time, I have health benefits for a lot of these yummy ingredients that I'm just going to be having available for a handout for you with those recipes, and flash some of those up in the lower thirds as well. You have a question?
Yes, what kind of oil are we using today?
I'm using avocado oil, and so this is a healthier oil than a lot of other oils, and this is good for high heat. There's certain oils that you don't want to use at high heat. Avocado is one of those that's fine to use. Extra virgin olive oil is not one of those, because when we go above a medium temperature on that heat, it starts to destabilize those fat lipids and makes those toxic and throws off toxins, and we don't want that in our body. So we're going to check on these before I get over here. Oh, this is looking beautiful. See that golden brown? So we're going to go on top and bottom, and then we'll go to sides after that. We want to get our plate ready to drain our tacos. And we're just going to go straight over here to our cauliflower taco. Now, I've got two versions. One you'll have on a recipe. It's an air fryer version, the one that's encrusted in the seasoned panko. And what I am going to demonstrate super quick are the roasted cauliflower taco. Cauliflower for the tacos. So I'm putting on gloves because I'm going to be getting up close and personal with my cauliflower. Cauliflower has such great nutritious qualities, health benefits. Right now I'm just adding a little bit of oil, avocado oil, to that because I'm going to add some seasoning. I want that to coat well. And cilantro also in some of the other demonstrations, great blood purifier, detoxifier, loads of vitamins and minerals. Right now we're going to be adding our smoked paprika, a teaspoon of that, 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, plus a teaspoon of one of my favorite seasonings, Lowry's Total Seasoning. I'm going to check over here real quick. And then we've got 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper and a teaspoon of chili powder. If you're not a big fan of chili powder, you can omit it or you can use less of it. But I'm going to just start mixing this. And once we get this all mixed, we're going to pop this in the oven and roast it at 400 for 20 minutes. If you want it cooked through a little better, you want it slightly charred and cooked through, but I like mine to have just a little bit of a bite. So you want to just keep your eye on the temperature and how it's cooking in the oven. And so just get that well incorporated, get those seasonings on there, and we'll pop that in the oven. Then we have a finished product right here. And what I like about these is we can just take these off and stick those straight in the trash can. We've got our finished product here, plus you see the encrusted air fryer version of our cauliflower florets. So what we would do is we would assemble these real super quick. And with our fish tacos, we're going to layer that with our Baja slaw. Now I forgot my sliced radishes, and that would add a lot of pretty color and health benefits to that as well. But then we are going to, we would just put that right on the side, those radishes. We are going to rest that right there. Top that with some sliced avocado. See all those colors coming through there? We're going to add our crema. This is our cilantro lime crema. Top that with a little bit of cilantro to garnish. We're going to stick that right there in our fun little taco holder. Doesn't that look yummy?
Yes. Yum, yum.
All right, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our cauliflower roasted cauli tacos. And I'm using an arugula base for that. And I'm using some roasted cauliflower. You can use the breaded air fryer version as well. And I am going to add some of our corn salsa to that. Look at those colors. That is going to taste so scrumptious together. We will add some of our verde sauce. Bring all those flavors together, make that pop. And we have some pickled red onions. Now these don't have vinegar. This is red onion with lime sauce, lime juice rather, that's been marinated for about 4 hours before you serve it. So there you have it. Fish tacos with homemade whole wheat taco, hang on. So there you have it. Homemade whole wheat tortillas with fish tacos made from tofu and roasted cauliflower with all these yummy, healthy, scrumptious toppings and sauces, all for our health. So enjoy.
All right, we're back with our tasty tacos, and we've all had a good taco, right? But you haven't had the best kind of taco until you have fresh, warm tortillas, all right? That's a treat. That's a treat. And you know what? The recipe is super, super simple. There's just corn flour, because we're making fresh, warm corn flour tortillas. There's just corn flour, a little oil, a little salt, and water. And that's it. So today we'll have white corn tortillas. We'll also have yellow corn tortillas. And we're going to go on and get started. Already in my bowl, I have pre-measured 1 cup of white corn flour. I also have half teaspoon of salt, all right? And I'm going to add a tablespoon of vegetable oil, all right? And I've measured out a cup of water here, but you really kind of got to get the feel of it. You don't want your dough to be too wet and sticky, and you don't want it too dry. So we're just going to start off maybe like with 3/4 cups of water, all right? And we're just going to incorporate all those things together, the salt. You want to remember, try to find organic. I have organic yellow corn flour there. Corn is so highly GMO, so highly genetically modified. You really want it organic. And so this is still a little dry, so I'm going to add a little more water here. And again, we're going to incorporate this. And I want you to see what this kind of looks like, because that'll kind of help you understand what kind of texture you're looking for. Now, some recipes call for the dough to sit, you know, for 5 minutes to set. I've made these without doing that, and I can't really tell the difference. If you mix well on the front end, you shouldn't have a problem. The issue is you just want all your corn flour granules to be saturated in the moisture, okay? And so, yeah, you can let your flour sit, and that assists with that, but you don't have to do that. And so, as you can see, the dough is kind of firm, right? Firm, not sticky or wet. And that's it. We've got it all incorporated. I have a couple of dough balls here. I made some of these earlier, as you can see. But we'll work from this batter, this dough we just made here. So I'm just gonna make this into a nice ball. And then we're going to press our tortilla flat. Now, let me tell you, before I got a tortilla press, I used a big pot, and you can press it just the same. I have to say the tortilla press is a little easier. It makes for a more even flatness, and so I do like that about it. But just grab up about a golf ball size of dough, and you want to roll it again into a nice ball. And let me just show you here. This is a Ziploc bag, and I've taken the zipper off, and we're going to use this to put our dough in so the dough doesn't stick to the tortilla press. You could also use parchment paper, but I find that it works best with the plastic. All right, so we're going to put that right in the center of the press, and just going to press it a little with my fingers. All right, and we're going to mash. Okay, I'm going to get this glove off now. We're going to mash the dough on the press, and we're going to take a little peek, see what we got. Okay, sometimes you have to turn on these, turn the dough so that it mashes evenly. All right.
Can you use that lever?
Yes, I'm going to use a lever, but I kind of like to get it going without the lever, because you get a better view of how it's going to turn out. So we're going to push down with the lever now. Let's see what we got. All right, so we have a question from the audience about the lever here. Yes, we're going to use the lever as I just did. I just like to mash with my hand first because you can kind of form the dough in the center of the press before you use the lever. Once you use the lever, it is what it is. And it'll get the dough pretty flat. You can make these as thick or as thin as you want. And just place that. I have a ceramic top grill here. And we're going to let that cook for about 60 seconds. And we're going to get another dough ball ready while we're waiting for that one. But isn't that easy? And let me tell you, it's such a tasty treat. It's worth the extra effort. The tortilla press, you can find these for as little as $14. You know, if you're one to do tacos all the time and you happen to get your hands on a fresh, warm tortilla, you might want to invest in one because you will like it. You will like it. All right, so again, we've got our dough in the center of the press. Going to fold our plastic over. Kind of mash in the center with our fingers. Want to bring our press top down. All right. And we're going to turn this to kind of even it out. And then we'll engage the handle. I'm going to turn this one more time first, though. One more time. And I tell you, I've made both the white corn and the yellow corn because I'm torn. I don't know which one I like the best. And so there we have it. Nice and flat. Again, if you like yours a little thicker or a little thinner, you control the tortilla press to get the thickness that you like. All right. So we can put this down. This one's coming along nicely. I like mine to get a little brown on them. So I'm going to check this other one now and see how it's going. Okay. I'm going to let that. I'm going to turn my heat up a little here. Let's see. All right. So once this gets a little brown, we'll flip it over. And I'll tell you, whether you're working in a cast iron skillet, whatever you're kind of frying these up in, if you want to know if it's hot enough, because you don't need oil to fry these in, just, flick a little water on it. And if you get the sizzle, it's hot and it's good to go. It's ready. All right, so let's see. Are we ready? Oh, almost. It's coming. It's coming. All right, I see a little brown coming through on the edge here, so we're almost there. All right, I think we can do this. Let's see. Oh, it's a little brown. I like mine a little browner. We'll let this one get a little browner. In fact, let's switch sides there. All right. I think I'm going to turn this up a wee bit more. And what's best for you to do is, like if I had gotten this one a little bit browner, a bubble would have popped up in the center and it would have ballooned like. Those are best. You don't have to do that, but it's fun to watch. And it has a nice, good flavor too when you get the bubble. Let me check the underside of this one. All right, getting there, getting there. Almost, almost. All right, I'm going to go on and flip our second tortilla over. All right. And let's see if this one has gotten... All right, it's getting there. I'm trying to get these to look like these. But for the sake of time, we may just let them be. This flour tortilla, you should know, is already pre-cooked. So it's not like the corn, we have to wait for the corn to cook through. It's actually already cooked corn, cooked and milled corn. All right, and so there you have it, fresh, warm tortillas, corn tortillas. Enjoy. All right, next on our tasty taco menu is a chipotle ranch dressing that pairs so well with the potato tacos and the raw tacos that I'll be making today. So real simple, it's again really simple 5-minute, or less recipe. I have here already pre-measured 1/2 cup of vegan mayo. To that, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of dried dill. All right. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 of a chipotle pepper, and you can add more or less to taste. I like a little kick, so that's what we got there. I have here 1 tablespoon of lime juice. Also adding 2 garlic cloves. Whoa, 2 garlic cloves. They tried to get away from me. All right, we have a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1/3 cup of fresh cilantro. Dee used fresh cilantro in her recipe and gave you all those wonderful health benefits, especially of the chlorophyll that gives it its dark green color. And I have here 2 tablespoons of almond milk, and I'm just going to start off maybe with like 1, and if I need more, I'll add more. And so we've added all our ingredients to the blender, and now we're just going to chop this up, puree it until it's smooth. Let's go for it. That's a little thick, so I'm going to take a little more of my almond milk and add it. So that's 2 full tablespoons of almond milk that we've added. Yummy. Let me tell you, this is good. All right. Yum. And let me dish this up. And you can see all that yummy goodness as I pour it in. Mmm. There are those fresh herbs again. Yum. And so when we complete our tacos today, I'll add this. Let me tell you, all I put on my tacos are some of this chipotle ranch and some fresh onions. Good to go. Good to go. All right. Next, we will be working on our potatoes for our potato tacos. See you in a bit. All right, so today I'm going to be making potato tacos with a kick. I have here my handy Yukon Gold potato, and I'll tell you, in recent years, the humble potato has gotten a bad rap as people do these low-carb diets and that sort of thing. But I'll tell you, our bodies need carbs. Our bodies need carbs, and potatoes are a nutritious and healthy source of them when eaten properly. So today we won't be deep frying them or slathering them with butter or sour cream. We're going to roast our potatoes today for our tacos, okay? Potatoes, even plain potatoes, do contain high levels of simple carbohydrates. And so what you want to do is balance out your plate when you have potatoes. We've got lots of tasty vegetables that we're going to add to our tacos. And so we balance it out. And we benefit from the vitamins and the nutrients of potatoes. They're a good source of potassium, vitamin C, B6, manganese, phosphorus, niacin, pantothenic acid, and fiber, okay? The vitamin and mineral and fiber content of potatoes is mostly in the skin, so keep those skins on. It's best to eat them with the skin. And also, scientific evidence suggests that potatoes help reduce inflammation and constipation, and they increase that full filling, okay? And so they help keep you from overeating, And so we are going to go on and get started. For ease of preparation, I have used this Ziploc bag because I want to be able to incorporate my seasonings with the potatoes really well, okay? So in my bag here I have 2 cups of diced potatoes, and to that we're adding a tablespoon of vegetable oil. All right, we'll need a ½ teaspoon of salt. Today I'm using Lowry's Total Seasoning. It has a salt base, but it also has other goodies. Onions, powder, and garlic, and cilantro, that kind of stuff. Really flavorful salt. I have here 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I see a few more smoked paprika goodies down there, so let me just shake that in. All right, there we go. We don't want to leave anything behind. All right, so I got my bag here. I'm going to go on and zip this up, and we're just going to kind of work everything together real well until you no longer see white potatoes. You see all the seasoning. Okay, work it in. See how that's looking? All those goodies saturating the potatoes. And so I've got my oven heated to 425. And we're just going to use a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. Spread them out, spread the potatoes out in a single layer, and bake at 425 for about 20-25 minutes. Okay? And so I've got some potatoes already roasted up. So I'm going to grab those out of the oven. But there you have it. There you have it. And so here are our pre-roasted potatoes. And they're all done. Nice and crispy. Again, I like mine with a little brown on them. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put together a couple of tacos so we can see all this yummy goodness and how it works together. All right. So I've got my potatoes, and I'm just gonna put this right here. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of cheese, a little bit of green onion, a little bit of tomato, and a lot of bit of chipotle ranch. All right. And again, these the potatoes have a little kick because of the white pepper, and the chipotle ranch has a little kick because of the chipotle pepper, and so that's why I call them potato tacos with a kick. But there you have it, yummy potato taco. Enjoy. All right, it is now time for our rawly good tacos. Get it? Rawly? Really, really good tacos, but they're raw. They're walnut-based meat tacos. And I'll tell you, I tried these tacos a couple of years ago. They're laughing at me. I went on a raw fast, and I had heard about, walnut-based taco meat. And, I was a little skeptical, but I tried the walnut-based taco meat. It is really good, really good. And not only does it taste really good, it is really good for you. In fact, you should know that raw foods are enzymatically alive, which means that these foods have live enzymes within them to help digest 40 to 60% of whatever food you're eating, of that particular food, I should say. Cooked and processed foods are enzymatically dead, which means that there are no live enzymes in them to help digest them, all right? Enzymes perform so many important functions in the body that they have been called the basis of all metabolic activity. In other words, enzymes deliver nutrients, break down and carry away toxic waste, digest food, purify the blood, deliver hormones, balance cholesterol and triglyceride levels, feed the brain, build protein into muscle, and feed and fortify the endocrine system. Enzymes save people's lives by restoring energy and homeostasis, reversing the aging process, turning a dysfunctional digestive system into a healthy one, and strengthening the immune system. All right? As mentioned, we'll be using walnuts today. Walnuts are a good source of good fat and protein. They are rich in antioxidants. They're a super plant source of omega-3s, higher than any other nut, I should ask. They improve blood fats by lowering LDL, that's the bad cholesterol. And walnuts are a great source of biotin, vitamin B7, which both of those help hair to grow and nails grow stronger and longer, as well as prevent hair loss, okay? Consuming walnuts helps the skin look younger and healthier due to the powerful antioxidant vitamin E that it contains. You can also use walnut oil topically for protection against dry skin. Walnuts are also a good source of manganese, copper, magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin B6, and iron. All right. So these tacos are going to be not only tasty for your mouth, but really good for the body. Really good for the body. We're starting today with 1.5 cups of raw walnuts. Raw walnuts. I have gone on. I've added these to my food processor, which is still over there. Let me grab that. I just used it, and so if I could get a little help from one of the ladies. I think the blade is in the sink. But anyways, so what you want to do is you want to take your 1.5 cups of raw walnuts, put them in your food processor, and you just want to kind of pulse the blade, okay? You want to be careful not to blend on full speed or high speed because you can make walnut butter, all right? Oh, thank you so much. All right, so I've already done that to our walnuts here, and I've placed them in our bowl. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add our other ingredients. Now, what I have here is 1/3 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. You want to use the sun-dried tomatoes without the oil, okay? Without the oil, because that just adds extra unneeded oil to the dish, all right? And so what I've done is I've soaked them. You should soak them in water to cover the tomatoes about 5 minutes. These have been soaking a little longer. But you want to drain the water off the tomatoes when you're ready to use them and save the water, okay? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just draining the water off. We're going to save that water because we may need to add some moisture back to our recipe here. All right. So I've got 1/3 cup of sun-dried tomatoes here that I'm adding to my food processor. All right, let me get out of these gloves. And then I'm just going to add the rest of my ingredients. I've got 2 garlic cloves, okay? I've got 1 small chipotle pepper. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika. I've got 1 teaspoon of sugar, and you want to use turbinado sugar. As you've heard on our cooking classes before, it's less processed, so use that. And then I have 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And I think that's going to do it. So I'm going to add the top to my processor here. And we want a paste, right? We want this to be a paste, but we want it to be able to pour too. So we're going to go on and blend all these ingredients together high speed. Okay. And so here's where that extra water from the tomatoes comes in. We need a little more moisture in there. So I'm just kind of eyeball it, okay? And I'm going to go on and knock some. What did you just add in there? Someone asked what I just added. I just added water. And this is the water from my soaked dried tomatoes, okay? All right. So we're going to chop this up a little more. Again, we're looking for this to turn into like a pasty sauce, a pasty sauce. So we add a little more moisture. Let's try it again. My goodies are sticking to the walls of my processor here, so I'm just going to pull them in. And it looks like I could stand a little bit more moisture, so I'm going to add that too while I've got my top off. All right, let's try this out. Okay, that's getting more like it. And let me look at it. Yep, it's getting there. I'm going to add a little more water and pulse probably one more time, and we should be good to go. All right, that should do it. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Now I'm just going to slide this around a little. All right, now let's see what we got. Okay, I think this is it. See how it's kind of pasty, right? Kind of pasty, but still wet enough to coat those walnuts. All right, so let me get this blade out of here. Let's see. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to pour a little bit more water in here. I wanted to pour a little bit more. That's the object. You want to get this so that it has the ability to pour at least a little bit. So let's try this. I'm sure this will do it though. All right. Let me shake it. All right, I think that's going to do it. So I'm going to get these goodies off the top here. Add them to my walnuts. And after we do this, after we add our paste here to the walnuts, you give it a good stir. And oh, walnut taco meat is done. All right, stir it all in. All right, I'm gonna get the remnants here. Okay. So we want to stir until everything is incorporated well. And there is a lot of flavor in these tacos. A lot of flavor. Again, you can control the heat by the amount of chipotle chilies you add. I tend to like a little bit of heat. And there we have it. I'm going to make a taco using my yellow corn, my yellow flour corn tortilla. And get a little bit of our taco meat here. Stick that down in there better. All right. And You can use the same taco meat for your salads or whatever you use taco meat for. Nachos. And I think for this taco, how do I want to make it? I think all I'm going to add is some of this tasty Chipotle ranch. And like I was telling you guys earlier, I eat mine with just a little onion and this sauce and I'm good to go. So let me get another spoon here. I'm just going to add a little bit of green onion and a little bit of cilantro. And there we have it, our Raleigh, really good raw tacos. Enjoy.
Well, hello. You know, after hearing all that information about those tasty tacos, I'm ready to do some tasting. What about you? Okay, I'm going to be fixing some tacos today. Transitional meat. No blood, no hormones, none of that. And let's see what some few things that the Spirit of Prophecy and the Lord says about that. God gave our first parents the food that he designed for the race to eat. It was contrary to his plan to have the life of any creature taken. There was no death in Eden. The fruit of the trees was the food that man's once required. Eating of the flesh only came after the flood when there was no vegetation. And even at that, we were supposed to be eating the clean meats. And we can find that in Leviticus chapter 11. So as we think about this, let's think about it. The foods back then, yes, they were able to eat meat, but the meat was so very different then than it is now. It's polluted with poisons and toxins and things like that. And we want our bodies to glorify God in health, right? Okay. It says flesh was never the best food, but its use is doubly acceptable now, since the animals are so rapidly filled with disease. Okay, now we're going to get started with these tasty transitional tacos. And you know, I'm a lady on the run. I work every day. And I just love these traditional tacos because they don't take long at all. You can throw them together, put God's vegetables in them, and they are so yummy for your tummy. So let's get started. Okay, I have here the Gardein, the plant-based ground beef. And it tells you how many calories in it. And I put like 2 tablespoons of oil in my pan, and it looks just like ground beef. And you can do the same things with them that you do with ground beef. You can make spaghetti with them. You can make tacos with them. You can do all kinds of things. You can make lasagna with them, and they are so very tasty. And what I do is I put my meat in, then I put my onion in, and I have 1 package of meat, 1 medium onion, about 2 cups of frozen corn, and I just kind of eyeball that there. 4 large cloves of garlic. Oh, and that garlic is so good for you. We talked about that, I think, last week, all the health benefits of garlic. And so we just saute that around and just kind of eyeball it. You might need a little more oil. You might not. Let's just try this and see. And it's colorful and it's pretty. And not only that, it's good and it is healthy and it is quick for those who have a busy schedule. And it is so very tasty. The seasonings I'm going to use, I found this seasoning, they call it roasted garlic and herb, and it's by Grill Mates. And most of these seasonings have black pepper in them. This one does not have black pepper in them. And usually I don't put my seasoning in until my meat and corn and onions are tossed nicely. So I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of roasted garlic. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of total seasoning. But before I do that, I want my meat, my veggies all toasted nicely. And I see here I need just a little bit more of oil. So if I could get just a little bit more of oil to toss this around. Let's see, can we put it up? I'll tell
You
you.
may just add?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Okay. Okay. And it's going to start smelling so good, but don't let that smell, it's better than it even smells. And the girls did such a fantastic job, but let me tell you, they have made me good and hungry. And I want that yummy, yummy for your tummy feeling right about now. Oh, see how that's just tossing up really good? And just, oh, the smell of it. Just, oh, girlfriend, just hold on. You haven't seen anything yet. See how that's cooking up? And once these seasonings start cooking up together and the room is smelling good. And you know what? And one thing I like about this transitional meat, it's not a lifetime thing. It's just something to get us through until we're able not to even deal with meat at all and fix things like walnut tacos and veggie tacos and the ones Dee made, because that's the best thing to eat. But we have to crawl before we walk, right? So that's exactly what we're doing. You see how that's cooking up nicely? And I'll cook this for about, I'll say about 10 minutes, because it takes a while for those veggies to kind of toss and cook in there. But you see how that's cooking up? And guess what we're going to have with this? Oh, we're going to have some guacamole. We're going to have some cheese. We're going to have some lettuce. Oh, it is going to be so good. And let me tell you, I am ready. What about you? You know what? The only thing I don't like about this is you guys are not here to taste this with me. But since you're not, I guess I'll eat your part. You know, but I just wish, I just love someone to eat with. But oh dear, I don't know what I'm going to do. But you know what? You guys can get in that kitchen and fix it. And then you can call your family together and eat together. And it's going to be so good. And you see how quickly this is happening? We're not over the stove all day long. And then I usually, what I do is I fix enough for the whole week. So when I go to work, I have something every day to eat. And I don't have to cook every day. And it's good for me and it's good to me. And as we learn these recipes, I hope we're sharing them with others, because our bodies are the temples of God and we have to keep them healthy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
What kind of heat are you using to cook your transitional ground meat there?
I have it on 350, but you can watch it and see how your stuff is. If it's not cooking fast enough, you can turn it up. You can turn it down. You just kind of make it yours and kind of talk to the food, and it'll talk back to you. I'm sure it will. This food is, I'm telling you, it talks to me. It tells me you need to put a little more of this, and I say, okay, we got a conversation going on.
Now, what is your transitional meat made from?
The basic product in it is soy.
Soybean.
Right, soybean. Drop that. No, that's
Soybeans. Okay, that's
right.
good.
It's soybeans.
That's what I want to know.
And you know what? It's low in fat too. It's not filled with fat, and it's not a fast food, and it has healthy ingredients. And soon as
So she's using this Gardein brand ground, not beef, but beef. I mean, it looks like beef. Plant-based ground beef.
And what I love about it, it is plant-based, and that's the best food we can eat, is plant-based. God's way is the way. It was never his intention that we kill anything and eat it. He said the leaves of the trees are for what? The healing of the nations. And even with the plant-based meat, we're not to make this a lifetime thing. This is just getting us over until we get adjusted, and then that we can learn and grow and
To eat whole whole unprocessed.
That
food,
to
right?
eat whole, unprocessed. That's God's ideal for us. But because of sin, we have to go through these things. But you know what? God is bigger than the sin. He's made a way out of escape for us in spite of, right? Okay, soon as my veggies cook a little bit more, we're going to add that seasoning. We're going to toss it around, and then we're going to add we're going to fix our guacamole. And let me tell you, we're going to quit talking about tasty tacos, and we're going to start eating some tasty
We're gonna
tacos.
taste the tacos,
That's exactly
right?
I'm tired of hearing about the tasty tacos. My stomach is saying, I want some. Okay, let's turn it down just a little. Kind of stick it over here. You see how that's looking now? Mm-hmm. Can you smell that garlic and onion yet? Mm-hmm. Okay, and while I'm going to let that cook, let's kind of do the guacamole. I already took it and I already got it all smashed up. And I put this little thing that came out of the avocado in there, because the seed, because it seems to keep it nice and green. You know, guacamole has a tendency to turn brown. And you know I'm a finicky eater. That brown don't work with me. So we're going to take this out. Let's see where we're going to put this. We're going to take that out. And then we are going to add our tomatoes.
How much tomato is that?
3/4 like of a small tomato. And I have it already diced up for time's sake. And the same thing, 3/4 of a small onion. And I have here about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm just going to put a little in there. And then I don't see my
What do you need?
iodized sea salt. This is the best salt to use, the iodized sea salt. And with this, you just add a pinch. You add a pinch, and then you take this and you stir it up all together. And you know, people's taste buds are different. You might want a little bit more of salt or something in here. But, you know, make it yours. Make it yours and your family's taste. And I'm going to just a pinch more. And we're going to be ready to go in just a few moments. And we have all kind of trimmings to put on here besides the guacamole. We have the cheese, we have cilantro, we have salsa, we have the lettuce. Could you give me a bag of chips out of the thing? And we can either put some of that on the chips, some of that on the salsa, or we can even do both. Just make it to your taste and just enjoy. Okay, our meat looks like it's just about done right now, so we're going to start adding our seasonings. And what we have here is 1 teaspoon of onion powder. We have 1 teaspoon of roasted garlic. We have 1 teaspoon of total seasoning. And we're going to stir that around. And the reason I put this in at the very last is because you get all the taste of it when you put it in after everything is done. And I stir that around totally until it's evenly distributed. And even sometimes I make me a taco salad with the meat. I get the chips and then I'll put the cheese, the salsa, the lettuce. You can do so many things with this. It can be tacos, it can be taco salad, it can be spaghetti. You can throw this off in some chili beans. You can do so many things with this. And see how that's cooking up? And you know what? I'm so sorry you guys can't taste this for me, but somebody's got to do it. I'm just going to taste this, okay? That is so good. Don't need a thing else. I think that's it. So try this and tell us what you think about it and just enjoy. Oh, I'm going to make a taco. I started tasting that meat and got a little bit confused. Well, we're going to have to sit him over here because he's in my way. Okay. We're going to first put and See that garlic in there? See those onion and that? Oh, and that corn. Make sure you get organic corn. That's the best corn. It has no GMO in it. Okay. And then we're going to add, I need a spoon. We're going to add some salsa. Then, oh well, we're going to add some lettuce. We're going to add some, where's the cheese at?
Let me just put this on. You can sit down on the table here. That good?
That's good. And then we're going to add some guacamole. And with this guacamole, I've tried it several ways, but the best taste it offered me was the most simplest way. You don't need to add a lot, just God's way, simple and delicious. Just try it. So yummy, yummy for your tummy. Enjoy.
Okay, I would like to talk to you about sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are amazingly versatile, and I never knew that you could put sweet potatoes in tacos. Actually, I've learned a whole lot about tacos in this experience. I just knew about the regular tacos that have been demonstrated, but as you've seen, there are so many things that you can do with different fillings for tacos. We have different ways to serve them. We have like whole wheat tortillas and corn, the hard shells, and of course you have the soft corn that has been demonstrated already, which I can't wait to taste. So my main point right now is sweet potatoes. So we have the sweet potatoes, which actually these were grown in my garden last year. And the children helped with planting the sweet potatoes right from slips. That's a lot of fun and something you can do together with your children or your family. It's very rewarding to be able to grow stuff directly in your garden and watch it grow. It's a great experience for children. So I wanted to tell you about how to do that a moment, just really briefly, because if you want more details, obviously you can get a lot more details. But you start to grow sweet potatoes from slips before, as early as you can, but you don't want to let the frost get to it. So you have to wait until all danger of frost is done, and you get the little slips. You can start the slips yourself. But you can also buy them pretty much anywhere. You could buy like Walmart, Lowe's. Usually there's the Beauregard, which is going to look something like this. You also have the white sweet potatoes, purple, red, orange, and all different kinds. You'd be very surprised at how many sweet potatoes you can actually get, all the varieties. So you place the slips in the ground. You're going to put black plastic on in rows, and you make a little hole about this deep, this wide, and you take the slips, put them in the ground, and then you're going to need to water it. You're going to need to keep them watered for like a couple days, and then after that, you may have to water until it really gets established, but you don't have to do anything for months. So you leave them growing as long as possible. There's going to be beautiful leaves spreading out all over the place, which actually you can eat the leaves too. That's not something we regularly do, but you could if you wanted to. And you leave it growing for as long as possible. You're going to want to keep an eye on the weather forecast, and if there's a danger of frost, you're probably going to want to harvest those sweet potatoes right away. If a frost comes and you don't get a chance, you want to go out there and cut the tops, disconnecting the sweet potatoes from the leaves, and then they'll be safe, and then you get out there as soon as you can, like the next day or just as soon as you can. Then to store them, it's really easy. I put mine in boxes, like lay them out flat so that they can dry out. You want them to be really dry before you store them. So when they're dry, you want to keep them, you want to cure them. So you don't just go to the garden and harvest sweet potatoes and eat them right away, because they're not going to taste that good. So you cure them for 10 days or 3 to 4 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, just depending. So if you do it for 10 days, you need to hold them at 80 to 85 degrees. But if you can only get like 65 to 75 degrees, then you need to do it for more like 2 to 3 weeks. So it's not really specific, but the nice thing about sweet potatoes is they're going to last for months. So these sweet potatoes are from last harvest, and I have a lot more at home, and they'll continue to be good, probably almost until the next crop is ready. So here in Kentucky, that is a really great crop, and a lot of other states too. They're really easy to grow and incredibly nutritious. So I wrote down a few of the nutrition facts to share with you. Vitamin A, it is a huge source of vitamin A. In just 1 cup of sweet potatoes, you have 377% of your daily requirements of vitamin A. Then it's high in vitamin C, calcium, B6, magnesium, potassium, of course fiber, very great fiber, and antioxidants. So of course you can imagine the sweet potato is really filling. You're going to get, so you could say like it's a weight loss food too, because you don't need to eat like a whole lot of other stuff. By the time you've had your sweet potato and add some other things like these tacos, you're pretty full, and that's going to last for quite a while before you'll get hungry again. Okay, so also another really great benefit of sweet potatoes is they're really great for your gut health. Also for fighting off cancer, which of course we all want to do whatever we can to stay healthy, to avoid these things, and if we can fight off cancer, that's definitely something we want to do. You can imagine with the orange color and the vitamin A, they're really good for eyesight. So that's huge. And also for brain function, they can help us to think clearer and just to function better in that department. And then the last feature I want to talk about is the immune system, especially these days with so many things going around, so many sicknesses, and with COVID. Anything we can do to boost our immune system is going to be very helpful, and sweet potatoes is definitely one of those things that you can do to boost your immune system. So we're going to go ahead and start making these tacos that have the sweet potato, black beans, corn, and peppers. So for sake of time, I'm not cutting up the sweet potatoes here. And by the way, sweet potatoes are they're tough to cut up, so you're going to need a really good knife. So I went ahead and did this already. This is sweet potatoes that has been cubed. These are the orange kind. You could also do the white kind or any variety really. So I've gone ahead and baked this in the oven with a little olive oil, and you do that for about 20 minutes. And then you take peppers. So I've got green peppers here. Oh, actually, I forgot a step. We want to put our seasonings in, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we've got some white pepper. We don't want to use the black pepper, so I'm going to sprinkle all of this. And we've got cumin. I like to use a lot of cumin because it has a really, really nice flavor. We've got garlic, and if you like, you can use the fresh garlic and crush it. That's really tasty too. We've got paprika, which makes a really nice color and beautiful flavor. Let's see what else we have. A little onion powder. And a little coriander. Kind of makes like a little extra special. So these aren't actually spicy. If you wanted to add a little bit of extra kick to it, they would be really good. So I have got sea salt here. And I wanted to add, it's already been mentioned, but I want to say, it's very hard to get iodine, and one great way to get the iodine you need is to make sure that the salt that you have has iodine in it, and that is really, really important. People can actually manifest thyroid problems because they're not getting enough iodine in their diet, and then they add the iodine and their levels are fine and they're doing great. So that's very important. There are other salts you can use that don't have the iodine, and that's something you really want to try to stay away from. The iodine is so important. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up a little bit. And then you would bake this for a little while in the oven, and you would add peppers. So I'm going to leave that for a second, and we're going to go ahead and lightly fry these green peppers, green bell peppers, and red bell peppers. So depending on what you like, you could use different colors. You could have more green or more red, and I'm lightly sauteing this because of the time constraints, and just to make it easier to show you, because it's best if you would mix it with the sweet potatoes. There is definitely more than one way to do something, so this is one way. So I'm going to leave that to saute for just a moment. Okay, so the peppers have been sauteing for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more white pepper to the mix. Depending on how much you like. A little salt also. You know, some people don't like a lot of salt, and it's always better to add too little, and then people will always add more if they want later. I'm going to go ahead and give that a good mix again. So remember, this step would have been done with the fresh peppers put directly into the sweet potatoes and then baked in the oven for 20 more minutes. I wanted to add too that peppers are really easy to grow. You can use a tomato cage or some stakes. Usually they're not going to grow too tall. The green peppers are a lot easier to grow than the red peppers. And you can also grow banana peppers, and they're just like a really fun thing for the kids to grow. Imagine having your kids go out to the garden and pick the peppers or lettuce, tomatoes, beets, green beans, onions, cucumbers, sweet potatoes later on in the year. There's so many things they can do, and it's so rewarding. But if I could have a helper for this step, I'd like to be able to just, if you go ahead and take, thank you.
No problem. Smells yummy.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like sauteing vegetables. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and mix these in, and this will have been in the oven roasting separately and then together for about 40 minutes total. We're going to add some black beans. These are canned black beans which have been rinsed, drained. And also some corn. I'm adding, this is frozen corn that has been thawed out, and it is organic, which of course is better for you. It does not have the GMOs, which has already been mentioned, but I want to say too that when I first started eating organic corn, I was absolutely amazed that the difference in flavor was so much better. It was just really amazing, the difference there. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up really well, and it's already looking so good. It's absolutely delicious. Well, that is, we're going to set that aside for a second, and we're going to add into a little bowl a little sauce we're going to make, which is from cilantro. We're going to cut up the cilantro real kind of fine, depending on how you like it. And then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of lime juice. And of course, it would be better if you would use fresh, but this is also a good option if you're in a hurry or you don't have fresh limes on hand. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons. There we go, 3 tablespoons of lime. And then I'm going to add the honey. So one really nice thing to do with honey, just a second, is honey is very sticky, so it's going to stick to whatever spoon you use. So it's a lot better if you would just go ahead and like put some, in this case it's lime juice, but if you even had to rinse out the spoon before you use it, it's really helpful. Or if you needed a little oil. So I'm going to go ahead and pour just a little oil in here and just swish it around and put it in, because that's going to make the recipe really delicious too. And see how easy the honey comes out. So you don't have to be too specific, depending if you want it a little sweeter. Adding the oil first is just going to make it scoop out of that little tablespoon measurement just a little easier. So go ahead and then I'm going to get a spoon. Actually, I think I'll just use this one right here, because we're just going to mix it in together anyhow in a moment. So we're going to make a little cilantro sauce, and I love cilantro, and cilantro is so good for you. That and parsley are very special, very delicious. And also honey is going to mix a lot better if it is room temperature or even a little warm. Obviously, if you keep it in the fridge, it's going to be quite a challenge to mix. So when that's all mixed up together, we're going to add it to our sweet potato mixture. Then we're going to mix it in. I think I'm going to use the spatula because that's going to get it in a whole lot better. After you've mixed it in thoroughly, you're going to put it back in the oven. And what will happen with that honey, it will kind of turn a little bit brown, a little bit caramelized, and just adds a really nice flavor to this dish. If I didn't mention already, the oven needed to be preheated right at the beginning at 425 degrees. So now I'm going to go ahead and place this into the oven. And we're going to leave it for this last step for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how you like it. Okay, when those 10 to 15 minutes are up, you're going to get your food out of the oven. And doesn't that look amazing? So, as I mentioned, there's different ways you can fix it. You can go ahead and put it in these flour. These are large whole wheat tortillas. And of course, there's gluten-free options. There's all kind of different options. You can really get creative. So I'm going to put a lot of this in. You can put salsa on. I made this the other day, and I had some testers. One of them suggested it would be really good with cheese sauce that we made 2 cooking classes ago. It's a vegetable cheese sauce that just really has potatoes and carrots, and you can put that on the top. You can put a little salsa on. Or in my case, I would put a lot of salsa because salsa is really delicious. You can also add some slices of avocado. You could add sour cream. different options. You can get creative about tacos. That's one of the fun things about it. It's something that people can have what they want on their own tacos, and everybody can be happy with the same meal together. So enjoy.
Everybody, we are so glad you guys joined us today for Tasty Tacos. And I have to tell you right now, I have so many lovely aromas ascending into my nostrils. I've got taco meat and onions and garlic and peppers. Oh, potatoes. So good and so good for you. And we just want to invite you back. We want to invite you back. We're doing something really special next month for barbecue season, so you don't want to miss it. Remember, if you want to get these recipes, be sure to register at virtualvegan.org. And as we close, I want to close out with a word of prayer. Dear, faithful, and loving Father, we thank you so much for all the things that you've helped us prepare today. We thank you for the beautiful way in which you would have us to eat and that you're teaching us to eat. And Lord, we just ask that you would help us to learn these things, to enjoy these things, and according to your word, that our bodies would prosper and be in health. And Lord, until we meet again, keep us, we pray, in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Bye.